All right, hi everyone. Just confirming that we're properly going live here. I'm multi-streaming as well on YouTube, Rumble, and obviously here on TikTok as well. Just want to make sure all the streams are coming out okay. We're going to be getting to we're going to do a breakdown of the Epstein files, and I know that there's a lot going on with it today. And as I said on my page when I put up that I'm going to be going live, this is no bullshit. I'm not doing this to break down. And everyone that's joining, thanks for everybody that's joining the live stream, in addition to being live on YouTube and on Rumble as well. This breakdown that I'm going to do here is no bullshit. I'm not going to blow any smoke up your ass. I'm not going to make up some things. I'm going to give you the full facts and breakdown of everything that's going on tonight as this information came out. And so, full disclosure here for everyone on YouTube, Rumble, and TikTok. I'm a conservative. I'm a Trump supporter. But when I made this show, when I started this to be a content creator that did news, politics, and humor, is what I do for the show, the Relief Valve Podcast. One of the things I promised was to not bullshit my viewer base. I will not lie to my fans and the people that follow the show. I started this show and I started doing the news because I was a taxpayer who was tired of the mainstream media lying to all of us. And by the way, that includes Fox News. So it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, all of their own created false narratives that they have all done throughout all of the years. I know we've all been tired of it. That's why people come to news and content creators like myself, and quite obviously much larger ones that have much larger followings, in order to get your news. And one of the most frustrating things for me is that some of them still end up lying and deceiving you, despite the fact they're an independent content creator doing their own thing. One of the things I vowed is to, in being a content creator, is to not bullshit everybody when I do this. So, having said that, we're going to get into the Epstein files list release tonight. I have all of the information. You are probably made aware to one degree or another at this point that the release has been somewhat of a nothing burger as far as the information comes out. However, there's a lot of moving parts for this entire situation, and it's ongoing. And this is what I'm going to break down right now. The unfolding of today's events, the craziness that ended up happening, the information we got from it. And by the way, I'll show you here. Representative Nancy Mace put this on her site. It's on the Attorney General's website right here. Pamela Bondi. Here is all the documentation right here. A is the evidence list. B is flight logs. And all of B and these corresponding lists here are all flight logs released in U.S. versus Maxwell, parts 1 through 6. The content book, which has redactions, and the masseuse list that has redactions, but I have the unredacted masseuse list. And I have a side-by-side comparison of them. They've been on X. Now, again, as you've likely been hearing, a lot of the information that's been put in this binder has been information that, for the most part, seems like most of us are really aware of. So What's the craziness? What happened today? How did we get here? I don't know if you've heard a little bit about what happened. I don't know if you've heard just a whirlwind of stuff, and it's quite a bit. I've been following it all day, and I'll do my best to put it together here for you so that you have an idea of what happened. So, a series of large conservative content creators were invited to the White House in an impromptu meeting. Here's some of the photos right here from Caroline Leavitt, the president's press secretary. You're going to see some of the people. You're going to see DC Drano. You're going to see Caroline Leavitt. You're going to see I forget her name, but that's the woman that runs Libs of TikTok right there, and others, in addition to Jack Sobiak and many other prominent conservative podcasters. They were invited to the White House in an impromptu meeting with Vice President J.D. Vance in order to discuss and have a meeting about getting information out to the people and sharing information with the people. Now, according to them, and I'm going to play a little bit of DC Drano's video. According to them, they were unaware that they would be handed the binder today of the Epstein list. They were just given an invitation to be at the White House. They obviously didn't want to pass that up, so they attended. They were brought in, met with a whole host of Trump's cabinet, and eventually Trump himself. And then throughout this process would be handed the Epstein binder, which you would see kind of the notorious photos at this point of them all posing with the photos outside of the White House, which I think a lot of people are kind of giving them scrutiny over here, and we're going to end up getting to that. Here's some of the list that I was referring to. The massage, in their binder, it's redacted. What I have over here on the right are actually visitors that came to the massage, and we'll be getting to this. So this is redacted, and what people are complaining about that they got today over here on the left. Here's the unredacted list over here on the right, which has been found by people online. So we'll be able to uncover that information. But first, Liz Wheeler, which is one of the ones that was one of the conservative content creators that were at this meeting, is saying, Liz Wheeler, this story, President Trump and AG Pam Bondi committed to releasing the Epstein files. The FBI was told to deliver the files to Bondi. They did, about 200 pages. Bondi smelled a rat because there was nothing juicy in the 200 pages, just flight logs and a Rolodex of phone numbers, no smoking gun. Still, Bondi promised to release the documents, so she prepared a binder of them. Then last night, a whistleblower contacted Bondi and revealed that the SDNY, which is the Southern District New York FBI office, is, according to Pam Bondi and the Trump administration, is in open rebellion and refusing to turn over the other Epstein documents. This is some of the newest information that's coming out this evening. Was hiding potentially thousands of Epstein files, defying Bondi's order to give them all to her. We're talking recordings, evidence, etc., the juicy stuff and names. The swamp creatures at SDNY deceive Bondi, Cash, and you. Be outraged that the binder is boring. You should be, because the evil deep state lied to your face. The binder is powerful because it's tangible, physical evidence of the disgusting stunt the SDNY tried to pull. Bondi is now demanding all the Epstein evidence from SDNY, plus an investigation into the persons who committed this act of defiance. So legacy media has betrayed you again and again and again. They lie to you, smear you, gaslight you. They deserve no special access to real-time exposure or corruption because they played a role in covering it up in the first place. You are the media, Elon said. Yes, we are. So celebrate the regular people that are being given access to the most powerful people in our country to report on a despicable corruption as it's being uncovered in real time. And be very, very angry that the deep state agents in the swamp at the SDNY are at this very moment defying President Trump and AG Bondi and you who voted him into office, lying and hiding the truth about Jeffrey Epstein because they don't want their own corruption and weaponization of government exposed. So this is what this particular person, Liz Wheeler, who she says she's the host of the Liz Wheeler Show, author of Hide Your Children, Exposing the Marxists Behind the Attack on American Kids, and she has 1 million followers. She's one of the ones that was invited to the White House for this meeting, okay? Now, one of the one of the criticisms that some of these folks like Liz Wheeler are receiving is that the message that I just wrote to you, her, DC Drano, Jack Sobiak, and others all seem to kind of post that same message after the fact when this whole thing kind of blew up for all of them. So it is odd that they were all kind of parroting the same talking point. Now I'm going to get into the letter that they're referencing. Okay, so the breakdown that's happening at this point, as far as the files go, is saying this: the claims that are being made. Claims that are being made is this binder was put together. It was put on Pam Bondi's desk, and she was told that all of the information was there and to present to all of the American people. And so then these binders were put together and then given to all of these conservative podcasters and conservative ex-people to end up disseminating on their shows. And when I play DC Drano's video, he's going to explain what they were told when they got the binders. But they were asked not to immediately release the information of the binders. They were asked to hold on to it until later on, well, not today anymore, yesterday, or perhaps even a little more into the evening, and then share it with all of their fans after that. So they had the photo. They left the White House. They went outside they were led outside to the press area, and a lot of press were already there because the British Prime Minister was visiting at the time. And that's when their kind of now notorious photos with the binders were held up, showing that they had the Epstein books. And they say that they were not able to actually go through them while they were sitting in this meeting because a host of people came in to speak with them. Again, including the vice president being there, Trump's cabinet staff, and then Pam Bondi herself, I believe, and then also eventually Trump near the end of the meeting. So all of these guys say that they really didn't have the chance to go through it to know how detailed everything was in this. Live now, Fox to join as a guest. I guess I can. I don't know if a Fox pundit or something wanted to join in on this or not, but I could be wrong. But okay, we'll continue on at any rate. So they're given this. They have the notorious photo. They go on about their day. They go home and they go back to their hotel rooms, and they have more time to get into this after the fact. Now, what they're claiming here at this point is that they were misled about the information that was in the binder. I mean, Pam Bondi herself and maybe her staff, which is an oddity. So I don't really understand how or why that could happen. But Pam Bondi ended up composing a letter yesterday, and I have it here, to Director Kash Patel, in which she states, "Before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I've received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts, and a list of victims' names and phone numbers. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents late yesterday. I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein despite my repeated requests. The FBI never disclosed the existence of these files when you and I spoke yesterday. You were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information." What she's referencing there is a whistleblower came forward to say, FYI, the SDNY FBI field office in New York has a whole bunch more information that you're not currently in possession of. So it continues. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, February the 28th, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all so this is her demand at this point, to my office, including all records, documents, audio, and video recordings and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients, regardless of how such information was obtained. There'll be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. The Department of Justice will ensure that any public disclosure of these files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims and in accordance with the law, as I've done my entire career as a prosecutor. I'm also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personal action within 14 days. I appreciate your immediate attention to this important matter. I know that we are both committed to transparency for the American people, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to serve our president and our country. Sincerely, Pam Bondi. So this is a notice of demand to Director Kash Patel to immediately demand from this SDNY New York office to provide the missing files that should have been in this binder and that have been uploaded to this page that I'm showing you here right now. The one problem, or maybe a couple problems, that I have with all of this is if you or your office didn't confirm the information that was in there or the amount of information that was in there, that's a problem. If now I understand that Attorney General Pam Bondi is a very busy woman and she's doing a lot. The Trump administration has been in office for about 20 minutes. As far as actual time goes, it's only been a month. But if you're going to push to release all this, and then have the binders ready, and then tell the public that you're going to be releasing it, it would be my thought process that you would confirm that the information in here was going to be what the American people were looking for. And if you are too busy as a person, which I completely understand, playing devil's advocate, Pam Bondi's a very busy woman, that your staff would not go through an overview of this information and then confirm that everything in there has been what was promised to you in order to provide to the American people. So even if you accept her excuse that they were assured that all the information was there, they put it in binders, put it all together, submitted it to these conservatives that were invited as guests, and then provided to them, and then put on the website. If I were the Attorney General, I would tell my staff, go through all of this, confirm that everything's there that's supposed to be there. I want to have as seamless as a release of this information that I possibly can when we present it to the American people. So, in my opinion, it's absolutely problematic that there was not more put into this as far as this release goes. And I'd like to know how the breakdown happened. If you do indeed have this this Southern New York FBI office going rogue and refusing to cooperate, I get that. But would you not have confirmed that several days to not a week in advance of trying to get this information? Would you not have been aware that you have, or attempt to confirm that you have an FBI office with information that you require that is refusing to cooperate with you and not essentially run with what you have, which ends up being a disappointment to the American people, and then additionally turns into a disappointment for the American people, and then ends up kind of looking like a black mark on the Trump administration. And again, I told people I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, and I'm not going to lie to you about this. Regardless of how this all broke down, and where it's 1:27 a.m. currently, so we're supposed to get more information today about what happened with this situation, and possibly more details on it. But why you wouldn't do some more due diligence before it turned into this is a question that I have. Now, I'm going to get to DC Drano here. He's one of the conservatives that were invited to this White House. It's about 18 minutes long, but I may not play the whole thing. I'm going to let him explain a little bit of the breakdown of what happened at the White House with all of this.
All right, everyone. What a day. What a day. This started out as one of the more historic days of my life, and it all revolves around the Epstein files, phase 1. So I wanted to, again, be as transparent as possible. I know a lot of people are very nervous and suspicious about the Epstein files. Include me in that. I have been calling for the Epstein files to be released for years. It is something that we all know has been going on. It involves the most powerful businessmen and politicians in the world, and they were blackmailed. There was sex trafficking, and we want answers, and we want to know why nobody has been arrested except for Ghislaine. So stepping back, how did this all start today? I was invited to the White House. I was in the White House last week. I met with one of Trump's deputy chiefs of staff. I was invited again this week. I was told there was going to be other influencers there. When you are invited to the White House, you go. It's something that I fought like hell for 4 years to get Trump in the White House, and I am honored to have gone there. Today was an absolutely incredible day before everything got a little out of control. So we were brought into the Roosevelt Room, which is a room right off the Oval Office in the West Wing, where Trump holds meetings with some of the most powerful people in his administration and sometimes in the world. It started off, there's about 10 to 12 of, influencers, people you would know, some of my favorite people that I love to follow. And we were all there. And the first person to come in was Caroline Leavitt. Amazing. She's done a phenomenal job as press secretary. She is very personable, very down to earth. She is a true patriot. It was an amazing meeting. And then after that, J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, takes time out of his busy day to come talk with people that he appreciates. It's because of independent voices on social media, far beyond this group, the totality of us on X, on all the other social media platforms. We are a very big reason why President Trump and J.D. Vance won every single swing state and the popular vote. We are the new media. Everyone watching this, we're all the new media. And I was honored among many other people there today to have been invited and to sit down with these people, these absolute patriots and the leaders of the free world. Then we were told there would be some surprises. And this is where it gets really crazy. In walks the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and the FBI Director, Kash Patel. Now, mind you, we were not allowed to have our phones. And we did not know who we were going to be meeting with today. They walk in, we're just floored. We kind of knew J.D. Vance was on the roster. We didn't know these guys were going to be in there. They're both people I look up to, both people doing tremendous work. And then these binders start getting passed around, dropped in front of us. Can you imagine getting a binder the morning after the Attorney General says they have incredible Epstein file documents on their desk, and then they're in this binder, and this binder is placed in front of us? We were in the meetings. We were not allowed to, we were allowed to look in it, but we were trying to be respectful and paying attention to the speakers. There's no way that we could have gone through these hundreds of pages and cross-referenced it with things that have already been released. We frankly assumed this had at least some smoking guns. Before we could even digest what was happening here, in walks President Trump. Now, I might be getting the order of how this all happened, but President Trump walks in, and he had walked in a little bit earlier. He invited us into the Oval Office. We go into the Oval Office. He gives us each the presidential coin. This is the most beautiful coin I have ever seen, ever held. And we took a picture with him. and the vice president in the Oval Office. Being in the Oval Office is one of the most surreal experiences. I was personally rattled. I was almost a little lightheaded. The enormity of the moment, it's still surreal. And in that Oval Office was most of President Trump's cabinet. His CIA director, his NSA advisor, FBI director, attorney general, and other members, senior members of his staff, who are people I've looked up to for years, people I support wholeheartedly. We leave that office.
Right, guys, I got to charge your phone here. Give me
we
one
go
second.
back to the Roosevelt Room. We meet with RFK. And all of these people, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Amazing guy. He's doing an amazing job as Secretary of State. He breaks down his entire foreign policy perspective, and it's something that I'll discuss later. RFK told us about all the billions of dollars, over $9 billion has been saved from waste, fraud, and abuse by Doge cutting in the HHS. He told us how he's getting rid of bad baby formula. They're going to potentially be allowing European baby formula to be imported into America. He's going to make our nutrition guidelines reduced from over, I think, 400 pages to 3 pages, and it's going to focus on whole foods. This administration is not only doing the things that we have desperately wanted them to do for decades, but they're doing them at lightning speed. And that's where I think some of today's issue came into play. After our meeting, we were there for 3 hours meeting with Trump's cabinet, with President Trump himself, touring the Oval Office. Absolutely incredible day. And they're going to be doing this with other influencers. We're just the start. There's so many people that they want to bring in, but guess what? There's only 10 to 12 chairs. So they are truly prioritizing independent media voices. They are truly prioritizing transparency. And that was very evident today. And after we left the Roosevelt Room, we were taken to the Eisenhower Executive Building. And that is across the way. And when we walked outside the West Wing, there were, without exaggeration, at least 30 to 40 plus reporters, cameras, everything right there. Right in the little loop in the West Wing where foreign dignitaries are taken out of their limo inside the West Wing. And they immediately started taking pictures of us. What did I do? The picture, the shot heard round the world. I held up this Epstein file book and made it clear what was in our hands. And I had a straight face. I realized the enormity of this document, or at least what we thought was in here, and raised it up high in an effort to say, we the people have taken our country back from the crooks, the pedos, the sex traffickers, and we are going to hold these people accountable. That was what I did. We fought for years to put Trump in office, to return actual justice to the DOJ, and to go after the most powerful people that we know have engaged in crimes. That is why I held the binder like that. And I don't regret that one bit. That sent a message that we the people, the little people, the regular people, fought like hell, and now we're going to hold the most powerful people accountable. So for those that have criticized the photo op, and again, other people in the photo, maybe they had a smile on. We were just brought into the Oval Office. We were just given a binder filled with the Epstein files. We just met with all of Trump's cabinet. Yes, people were.
So what he's referring to with the controversy with them smiling is a lot of people are jumping on them right now, saying that it's bad of them to smile while holding the binder with the gravity of what the information in the binders refers to. So, obviously this is the information in the binders is supposed to refer to horrible people and group and celebrities and everything else that have raped and sexually taken advantage of women and minors and children, and that you shouldn't be smiling victoriously over holding or being in possession of information like that. That's what he's referring to in the detailed explanation of why they were smiling while holding the binders.
Were giddy about what was happening. And I don't blame them for that. But I can only speak for me personally. And I wanted to send a message that we are going to hold the most powerful, corrupt people accountable. And again, I don't regret that. We were also told, we had another meeting in the Eisenhower Executive Building. We were also told not to post this information until midway through the afternoon. Once we were released, we all went back to our respective hotels and wherever. And then we started to see the pictures released from the West Wing area. Now, all those reporters were there for the UK Prime Minister. That's why they weren't there for us. It was kind of a, I don't think, that was obviously not planned. Once the word was out, we all said, yep, we got the Epstein files. They're going to be released. We have no desire to gatekeep these or hide these. I'm just like everyone else. I want to know what's in here. I was waiting for a free moment to actually go through and start looking at this stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of information. But we were told, listen, don't show the inside of the Epstein files until they're released on the DOJ website. Okay. And for whatever reason, that got delayed. Now, I think Attorney General Pam Bondi is doing a fantastic job. Again, I know people are frustrated and they want these documents. I do too. And I know the people in that room we were with today, they want those documents released. They're good people. And frankly, they have a lot of courage to start releasing some of this stuff. If there's anyone to be mad at, it's the deep state that has hidden these documents. And we are also given this letter from Pam Bondi sent to FBI Director Kash Patel saying, we've heard there are documents that are being hidden from senior leadership in the Southern District of New York. They should be returned to the DC DOJ by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, February 28th. That's probably where the juiciest stuff is. For those that don't know, the SDNY is typically, that's the hammer of the New York City liberal elite, right? That's like kind of like the DC, where all the J6ers went to DC court. If you're an SDNY, you're not getting a fair shake as a conservative. And these people combined have probably 2 or 3 weeks in office, Pam and Kash. There's a time they're getting rid of the bad apples, and this stuff was hidden by corrupt FBI agents. If there's anyone to be mad at, it's the people hiding this information.
Okay, so that may be true, and but that letter was in with all of their information, which means they added it in at the last second, or were aware that the binders didn't have enough information, and that was put in there as a caveat in order to explain what the deal was. Either way, if you jump the gun and you put this information out there, that wasn't really helpful to the American people. If they backed themselves into a corner by rushing that they were going to put this information out there, and then having backed themselves into a corner by pushing the rush, and then running into a corrupt field office that refused to cooperate them, while you're simultaneously you've backed yourself into a corner, you still have the responsibility of backing yourself into the corner. Now, myself as a Trump supporter and a voter of his, and loving everything that's currently happening and that the Trump administration is accomplishing, we have waited this long for the Epstein files, and I would have been willing personally to wait longer in order to make sure all the ducks were in a row. So to move forward with this rush for Pam Bondi to go on the that guy's show on Fox and announce that she was gonna release everything the next day, being Thursday, now being yesterday. And whether that rush was planned, whether she jumped the gun and she said that because she was excited to get everything out there, in my opinion, and Slacker, yeah, they're moving so fast. They need to be consistent in their execution. You're absolutely right, Slacker. Here on YouTube, I have somebody, talking, and that's correct. I understand that Trump's moving at lightning fast speed. I understand that he has a lot to do, and one of the most important things about that in moving so fast is he's got a 4-year term, yes, and you're thinking, wow, this is going to be 4 years of pure bliss. Nothing's going to get in our way. It's going to be a steamroller. Midterms show up in 2 years. And then the Republicans running for office can lose their seats. The Congress can flip. Democrats can get control of the House, the Senate, or potentially both. And then that creates a situation where you have a lame duck president. That anything that president tries to do is shot down by the House and shot down by the Senate. And now that's what they refer to as a lame duck, and the president can no longer get any more work done. So yes, it is so very imperative that Trump move with this lightning speed. That's why you're seeing it, for anyone that might be confused about it. He essentially really has 2 years if you're realistic about it, not 4. But whatever the breakdown was here with releasing this, and listen, people like Liz Wheeler, people like Jack Sobiak, and people like DC Drano, I'm not in their heads. I can't speak for them. I don't know what they were thinking, how this meeting went down, what their intentions were behind the scenes. I do not know them on a personal level. So the only thing I can do is attempt to take them at their face value, that they were blindsided by getting this information. They were excited to have it, not on the basis of being excited about horrible information about horrible people, but excited that the process was moving forward and they were going to expose hardcore, awful pedophiles in our upper echelons of our society. I'm going to. It's up to you guys what you do. I'm going to take them at face value about what they're talking about and their feelings on this. But those are the ones that are there. That is what they were talking about. That's what they've posted online. I put that information from DC Drano. That's what I played for all of you. Now, Representative Nancy Mace from South Carolina was the one that, at least her particularly, had a link to Pamela Bondi's, the Attorney General's page. Here are all the files right here. So first you have the evidence list. There's a lot, and I know this is difficult to see. Even, let me see if it's going to allow me to even zoom in here a little bit, and it doesn't seem like it's going to conveniently. But these are things that have been taken from his home and personal belongings. So it's one cell phone containing image logs and FTX reports for system information on selected. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to give you an idea of what's on here. Red rope containing 3 LTO6 tape cartridges containing an ArcServe backup of all digital evidence from submission ID 219407. Again, that red rope. 1 labeled Girls Pick Nude Book number 4. Red rope containing envelope containing a VHS tape, 2 cassettes, tapes, microphone, cassette tapes. Another red rope containing envelope containing 4 CDs. Banker's box containing various Epstein-related case materials. Box containing 1 pair of black women's cowboy boots, size 8. Interesting. Cellophane containing disc containing images of matchmaker shred reconstruction. These are all things that have been taken from his house and personal belongings that the FBI now has as physical evidence. A silver Mac desktop, an HP desktop tower, yada yada. Okay, this is all stuff that has been seized by the FBI. You can see that this is several pages of physical Beyonce's boots. Yeah, it could be. I have a list of some of the names, despite the fact that they were not in here very well. And I'm going to show you why they're not in here very well. These are the flight logs, okay? The flight logs are worse chicken scratch than I write, and that's saying something. Here's all the flight logs. Here's the pilot's name, Daniel. It's like Daniel Rodriguez or something like that. And this is who was flying on the flights. And again, why this isn't giving me the option to zoom in is beyond me. But as you can see, a lot of it is chicken scratch. It's extremely difficult to make out, especially they're reprints of the original. So it'll say Jeffrey. It'll say his co-conspirator there. It'll also say a guest. Okay? Jeffrey Epstein was just on this flight on his own, miles flown, about 5 miles. Flight number 23. And I don't know if it gives identifications. You've got the plane's make and model. You've got the aircraft identification. You've got from CMH, that's going to be the airport, to TCB. So maybe Tampa Bay Airport, because he had a home in the Florida area where he was getting some of his personal massages done. But again, you see how bad. This might even be a little harder to see on video, especially on. Control and plus key, he says. Okay, bear with me. Thank you, Slacker. Am I getting that right? I don't want to fuck you over here, Slacker. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Okay. Even though I've done that, Slacker, it's not all that great, right? So you've got one right here, date on August the 29th. No, what do we got here? No, September 2nd, 1991. You've got Jeffrey. You've got Glesdale, what the fuck the maitre d' she was using there, Roger Dale, plus 2 passengers that they, it was worth a shot, yeah, plus 2 passengers that they don't specifically identify. Glizane, as I remember. Okay, Jeffrey, here again on the 5th. Jeffrey, Glizane, 1 passenger. So again, this is not groundbreaking here as well, because one, if I'm the pilot that's getting paid big money in order to ship Jeffrey Epstein around, I'm not going to be, and very likely I'm also encouraged, not to be overly definitive when I write information down on these logs. In fact, I'm probably going to put Jeffrey and Peter Pan, right? I'm sure there's some FAA regulations about how to at least have some semblance of honesty when you write this stuff in. I understand that, especially when they go through flight logs. Yeah, I'm on YouTube as well, Slacker. That's Relief Valve Podcast on YouTube, if it's a little better for you. But I'm not going to, as the pilot who's working for a private entity, which I assume you're probably paying me good money for, I am not going to go out of my way to write detailed information about all of your guests here. In fact, I'm going to be as vague as is legally possible for me to be. So the logs continue on. You've got Jeffrey Epstein by himself in what looks like 1998 on the 30th. This, again, kind of faded chicken scratch Jeffrey Epstein. Some of these ones are indescribable. I can't give them to you. Because, again, it's a print of the page that they have. So it's come out even worse. Shirley, Christine, and Heather on a flight on October of 1991, the 7th? Or is it Jeffrey, Christine, and Heather? So this is just a couple chicks that he's chilling with and going out with. Jeffrey, Christine, Glizane, Maxwell, and then other ones will say 2 guests. Or however many guests. Look at this page here for November of 1991. The writing is so bad. I challenge you to make any of this out. No, they're not. Again, Slacker is absolutely right. They're not going to be very helpful. And here's the thing: there's multiple flight logs here. Okay, let's jump to part 3. he's a little clearer here, but he's using initials this time, JG and GM. Right, so Jeffrey and Glazane, but he's done it as JG and GM. This is April of 1996 now. He's changed it up a little bit. Mass Group. I'm assuming that's so. It's JEGM, Jeffrey Glazane, a Mass Group, plus one male, two females. No specific identification of who they are. JG Eliza, maybe Bush, Johnson, J Bobkin, Kringle A Watt. It's like, again, these ones where he's had to utilize the writing space here, it gets even smaller. It's awful. J Pamela, John. So, the writing's a little clearer here, but now he's abbreviating, and you're having a harder time. J.E. Joan, Glenn, Alan I think it might be Alan Dershowitz, which I don't know if he's taken responsibility. I believe he's a famous lawyer. I don't know if he's taken responsibility for being a part of all this, or he's just run his mouth and not, but, he's been there as well. On the plane, not necessarily sure that he's going to the island. So there's specifics that we're going to need to get to as well. So there's those. There's plenty of logs to go through. If you guys would like to take a look at it yourself, go to the Office of Public Affairs, the U.S. Department of Justice, come down to Attorney General Bondi, looks at the Epstein files, and you can look in detail at the evidence list, flight logs, all 6 parts of the flight logs. You've got a contact book that's partially redacted, so you're getting names with a whole bunch of redactions in, I think, alphabetical order as we're going through here with the A's and working your way down. Han Bruce and Penelope Balsam, Braccio Peretti, Ferdinando, Ben Bram, Tony Brand, and a whole bunch of other context that's missing here. See, as these all go down, and they're just going to be Nikki Calden, Jason Calcanis. Some we're going to be able to look up, and they're going to mean something. Others are just going to be associates. Some of this information has provided that he was not only potentially, or we've kind of found out working with Mossad, which is Israeli intelligence, our version of the CIA, but that he was also allegedly an informant for our FBI. Now we're going to come to the masseuse list, which what everyone has gotten here from this binder, as you're going to see here, is utterly and completely redacted. It's gone. Now I'm going to show you the comparison. What I just showed you on that first page is the masseuse redacted list. Now in comparison, redacted list on the left, fully exposed list here on the right with telephone numbers. Visitors' massages. You've got Allison Chambers, Joanne, Jennifer, Serdin, Adriano, Nicole, Kristen. You see Kristen here, and you'll see the comparison over here with the 2 arrows. And then you come over here to the unredacted. You've got Kristen here also with Serdin, Adriano, where they doubled up, have a twosome. I'm not sure what the comparison is with that arrow there. Nicole, Alice, Dawn, Cash, Alicia, Manico, Marie, Courtney Wild, Teasel, Nikleek, Sistlans, Sherry Lynch, Brittany, Joanne. Just first names and not enough context. Brittany, Sheen, Jenny, Katz, Emmy, 9, Allison. There's not enough information here with these visitor massages to get more detail on these names. You might be able to make some. You might be able to make some guesses on some of those. Here's some more information. These are email addresses: Jeffrey Epstein, Glazane Maxwell, the Newcomb, Cheryl Palmer, Joe Pagano, Christopher French Driver, PB, Jat Eniton, Secret Service Personal Escort, Mr. Barack is an interesting one right here. Mr. Barack, potentially Barack Obama. Ehud Former Prime Minister of Israel. That's something that's interesting right there as far as guests. Secret Service personal escort. You wouldn't get a Secret Service personal escort unless it was a government official. You've got Mr. Barack. They don't put the full name. That could be Obama. Ehud Fanvo, Prime Minister of Israel at that time. And we'd be able to confirm that just by going back and looking at records of who the former prime minister of Israel was. Jeffrey Epstein planes, Jean-Luc Brunel, scout for young family, scout for young something, which he used scouts, he used young people, he used Glazane in order to pick up other people for him to come over. David Copperfield, magician. They put him there specifically, so David Copperfield was hanging out. Eve Anderson, former model with Mother Orchard. I think it was something about nude pics when I looked at it, one of the other pictures the first time. But Eve Anderson, former model. Something Dubin. David Cook, Palm Beach. A witness interacted in chat daily with Umbridge Girls or something. Other important emails. All of Jeffrey Epstein's emails here at Mindspring, at Yahoo, at AOL. Glazane Maxwell's at mindspring.com. The Newcomb, Citron Matrix. Phone numbers, contact information. Cheryl Palmer, Joe Pagano, Christopher French Driver. This is a little more detail of that page. Okay, I see what they did. They unredacted everything over here. There was redacted over here, unredacted over here. So what did we miss? Scout for young females. Okay, that's a little more clearer over here. Jean-Luc Brunel, scout for young females. David Copperfield, magician. There's his number. So if you want to call David Copperfield, if he's still got that number, 702-235-5555. Sorry, David. Your magic trick can be getting a new cell phone number. Eve Anderson, former model, mother or something of naked pic. Dubin. David Cook, Palm Beach. Witness, interacting in chat daily with underage girls. That's an interesting statement right there. David Cook, Palm Beach, 2004-2005. A witness interacted and chatted daily with underage girls. And that was some of those redacted pictures that we were looking at. And then Slacker gave me the thing here to, actually this one, I think it will actually let me go on there and keep, this is phone numbers in his little black book. When we were in the other one, a lot of it was redacted. You couldn't see anything. Here, you actually have their contact information. Aldridge Safon, Joanna Abluzmain, Pam Alexander, and this is their contact numbers and addresses and telephone numbers. But I don't know if that's just one page or it lets you keep going down. So again, some of that is hard to see. So yeah, it's some crazy stuff. This is what Nick Sorter had put up. He wanted to release some of the information, so he put up what I did. You're going to get the exact same photos there and breakdown that I did. Now, some of the other information that's come out here as far as names, I'm going to give you some at least partially confirmed names. So the names were unsealed by a lawsuit filed by Virginia Gouffre, which we've already had prior to this. So we have partial confirmation. An alleged traffic victim against British socialite Glazane Maxwell. Epstein's former girlfriend, Maxwell, 61, is serving a 20-year prison sentence after she was convicted in 2021 of helping Epstein recruit sexually abused underage girls. Many of those names that appear in the court documents released Wednesday aren't accused of wrongdoing or have been mentioned previously in legal proceedings or new accounts. The documents released Wednesday are not an Epstein client list per se. In December, U.S. District Judge Loretta Preska found no legal justification for continuing to withhold the names of as many as 175 individuals allegedly connected with Epstein, ordering the unsealing to begin from January 1st. Here are some of the names. 90. were included with these documents that we've got. 4 have been redacted. We can confirm roughly 90. Ghislaine Maxwell, Virginia Lee Roberts Gouffre, Kathy Alexander. You'll recognize some of the names from what I've already brought up in this. Miles Alexander, James Michael Ostrich, Philip Barden, redacted. Kate Blanchett, David Boys, Laura Booth, Evelyn Boulette, Rebecca Boylan, Joshua Booner, Naomi Campbell, Carolyn Casey, Paul Cassell, Sharon Churcher, Bill Clinton. As we know, there was a picture of Bill Clinton wearing a blue dress inside Epstein's home in his island. So, I mean, irrefutable proof that Bill was there and a close friend. David Copperfield, the magician, as I wrote to you earlier. Alexander Cousteau, Cameron Diaz, Leonardo DiCaprio, Alan Dershowitz, the famous or infamous lawyer, read his name earlier as well. Dr. Mona Devencian, a redacted name. Bradley Edwards, Amanda Ellison, Kimberly Espinoza, Jeffrey Epstein himself, obviously, Annie Farmer, Marie Farmer, Alexander Fakai, Crystal Figueroa, Anthony Figueroa, Louis Free, Eric Gainey, Meg Garvin, Sheridan Gibson Boot, Robert Gouffre, Al Gore, Ross Goh, Fred Graff, Philip Guderian, another redacted, Shannon Harrison, Stephen Hawking. You imagine Stephen Hawking. I want you to suck my dick. I can't get it to work. Victoria, him in his fucking wheelchair. That's yeah, you didn't know. Yeah, slacker. Yeah, it's so surprising that Bill was there at Frico Island. Victoria Hazel, Brittany Henderson, Brett Jaff, Michael Jackson, shocker. Another shocker, slacker. Carol Robert Kess, Dr. Karen Kutkoff, Peter Listerman, George Lucas, Star Wars. Tony Lyons, Bob Meister, Jamie A. Melanson, Lynn Miller, Marvin Minsky, another redacted, David Mullen, Joe Pagano, Mary Pelusia, J. Stanley Pottinger, Joseph Recarey, Michael Ryder, Jason Richards, Bill Richardson, Sky Roberts, Scott Rothstein, Forrest Sawyer, Doug Schult, Kevin Spacey, no shocker there with Kevin Spacey, huh? Cecilia Stein, Mark Tafoya, Brent Tyndall, Kevin Thompson, Donald Trump, who has spoken out about this with the caveat with this and said that now all of these people are going to have a little bit of a caveat to one degree or another because they can say they were a business associate but didn't necessarily travel to the island. And what we need is the ones who specifically took that particular trip to the island. Now, with Donald Trump, I believe Trump came out and admitted that he was at an event in Las Vegas which Epstein also attended, and then Epstein offered to take him back to Florida to Mar-a-Lago on Epstein's jet, and that was the time that he flew on there. So for Donald Trump's particular account, I believe he did admit that he took that particular flight, but there was nothing untowards that happened on it. It was just a ride back, essentially. Continuing on, Ed Tuttle, Emma Vaughan, Kimberly Vaughan Edwards, Crescenda Valdez, Anthony Valadares, Maritza Vasquez, Vicky Ward, Jared Weisfield, Courtney Wild, Bruce Willis is a interesting one there. Again, Daniel Wilson, Andrew Albert Christian Edwards, the Duke of York. Now, I believe that's Prince Edwards, right? And he's been in photos with young girls that were like 15, 16 years old. He was in that. And I believe he settled with the woman out of court so that nothing else could come out about him. Spacey's on every list. Yeah, he is. He got caught with that young guy and like he was in Boston or something at a bar and he was trying to solicit someone at the bar or outside of the bar. It was a young man. I don't know if he was, I guess if he was at the bar, he had to be somewhat legal, right? Even though I think the person claimed he wasn't at the time. But I think Spacey was coming back to Massachusetts to answer in court for being with that young kid or young guy at that time, claiming that maybe the guy was claiming he was 17, snuck into the bar or whatever, or maybe very early, like 19 to 20. But Kevin Spacey has pretty much been outed as a homosexual, and and also fooling around with young men as well, or particularly young men. And here he is on the list. So, what's the caveat going to be for all of these people? Because I gave you a caveat for Trump, right? So then it's only fair that there are caveats for everybody else here too. What was the deal with Epstein? What are the reasons that Epstein rose to such prominence and got so much money was in working with these government agencies, Mossad allegedly in Israel and the FBI allegedly here in the States. He was putting feelers out there and making connections with all of the big time people all around the world. So he was friends with all these people in multiple capacities. One was taking them back to the island and having inappropriate sexual relations with minors. The other half of it was just having business relations with those people. So the caveat is with everyone here, at least on this particular list, which ones were pedophiles and which ones were ones that were business associations only that weren't fully aware of who and what Epstein really was. That's the information, right, without the evidence, of course, and hopefully we can get some. And that's what we're looking for. So unfortunately, these are the names that have been outed. Somebody else said Tom Hanks. I called Tom Hanks. I know he's not on this list. I called Tom Hanks. As a matter of fact, I went on to his page and I said, I can't wait to see Pedo Hanks on Epstein's list. I did it a couple of days ago before this came out. So I'm going to shit if I was right. I haven't seen his name on here, but I have heard from somebody else. His name is part of the list, and I absolutely see Tom Hanks is a fucking pedophile. So I'm waiting to get that confirmation. I already jumped on Tom Hanks's page once, and I'll fucking do it again. But, so that's the most of what I've got right now. There's a fight going on with this New York office in order to get them to give up the other stuff. But, I told everybody when I did this, and I was going to release this information here and talk about it, is I'm not going to blow smoke up everyone's ass. Is it possible the gun was jumped here without verifying everything? Yeah, that's possible. Is it possible that these larger conservative accounts... I know. Yeah, Slacker, you're 100% right. I grew up with Bill Cosby. And Slacker, I don't know if you remember, Eddie Murphy in his comedy special, talking about getting a phone call from Bill Cosby, where do you remember this? Hearing this, like hearing either this, not a joke, but Eddie Murphy telling the story when he was doing Raw at the time. Okay, so Eddie Murphy told a story when he was a comedian on stage doing Raw. This is when Eddie Murphy was wearing all the red leather outfits. And he was doing the hardcore comedy stints. And he said he recounted a time that Bill Cosby called him on the phone and told him, you need to tone down the swearing, the profanity, the sexual stuff, and the anti-family stuff, and things like that. He got this personal phone call from Bill Cosby at this time, and Eddie Murphy recounts the story, and I remember Bill Cosby coming out, especially with the Cosby Show, right? He always played the very healthy, very on the level family man. And then what do we come to find out about Bill Cosby years and years later? He's roofing women and raping them. So Mr. Be Proper, play by the rule. Yeah, America's dad. Be proper, play by the rules. Be a good person. Be a good family man. Don't use this profanity and compose yourself of the way that you do things. And this guy's raping and taking advantage of women behind the scenes. So... again, these people, these higher end Hollywood shitbags, they live in a level above all of us, and it's a do as I say, not as I do. Rules for thee and not for me. This is how all of them live. So they can absolutely be hypocrites in their daily lives, take advantage of people, assault people, sexually assault people, while simultaneously telling you and I how we have to be good people and how you should compose yourselves in your daily life. And really what it is they put a mask on in front of all the public. And then behind closed doors, they take that mask off and they're in the most deepest depravity that you can find or that you'll hear of. But in front of everybody and in front of the camera, be good, be a good person, be good to your kids, stay in school, and yada yada. And then behind closed doors, they take the skin suit off and they're the demon. So you can never trust any of these people for their holier than thou, pearl clutching bullshit. And you get that when you're looking into we forget that they are actors. And we forget that they're very good at it, right? Because sometimes, and I hate myself for this, I still to this day like Michael Jackson as an artist. It is so hard for me as a human being to separate how good and how iconic as a pop culture and an artist that he was and a musician, to separate that fact from the fact that he was a pedophile molesting children. And that's a crazy process to come to terms with in your own head, because very obviously you want to hate across the board every pedophile. There's nothing good about them, period. But the problem is they become so talented and become so iconic, the lines get blurred. This is what we run into as human beings. Kevin Spacey, we referenced him earlier. Amazing actor. I love him and stuff. I love him in shows and movies. Amazing actor. And I have to reconcile that with the fact that the guy is a homosexual and a pedophile that has gone after young men or younger underage men. And and they're infused so much into our lives that it's almost like you have to take them in and accept them in this weird way as everything that they are, even though they're disgusting people that are on these lists and have done these things to poor innocent children, both male and female. This is the crazy thing. But these institutions of Hollywood and big time money and everything else is meant to make it mainstream, to put it in your head, right? Not to make it cool. Cool's not the right word, but to make it acceptable in the regards of what I just explained to you with Michael Jackson and with Kevin Spacey. That you run into the dilemma of the blurred lines, which you should never do, right? If somebody in your local town is outed as a pedophile and you don't know who they are, you hate every fiber of their being. You absolutely hate them. They could die tomorrow and you wouldn't lose 1 ounce of sleep. Because you don't know them, you don't have any interaction, familiarity, anything with them. And then these other ones who have come up to be megastars, and we knew them as a megastar first and a pedophile second. And that's the problem with blurring those lines. We knew him as the great thing first, and the very awful thing came out after the fact. It would have been much easier if we knew him as the bad person first, so we could have ignored them as the actor and whatever else. And that's the thing with this weird blurred line. But this is what these institutions do. These people become larger than life. And then you get situations like this where people don't want to fight back, right? You have the government protecting some of them. They have too much money. They're too popular. They're too powerful. Some people out there don't want to find them, don't want to expose them. Just let them live out the rest of their life and let them die, and then we'll come up with some explanation for them after the fact. But I think some of that is. And it's a tough thing for the American people, and people around the world. The most important thing is to fall back on the thing that really matters. They're horrible people that took advantage of innocent children. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what show or movie they did. It doesn't matter what thing that you have fond memories of that they acted in or the song that they sung. You've got to be able to purge that, because they're horrible people and they have to pay for what they did. And despite this debacle today, with all of this and how this turned out, and my understanding is more people are going to, more information is going to come out today, Friday the 28th, that will hopefully be clarification of what the debacle was yesterday, Thursday the 27th. And I'm keeping an open mind. I'm fully willing to admit that some mistakes, it appears some mistakes were made here in the content of the information and what was released and the excitement that was put behind it. But while simultaneously going, I'm enough of a patriot and a person that's part of this cause that I'm not going to start firing people underneath the bus in order to offer myself some sort of out. I'm not going to do that. I want to see what other information comes out here. So I've done my best to present everything this evening, super late today, coming into 2 a.m., to the absolute best of my ability. And this is what I have currently. This is all of the information that's currently available. No bullshit, not blowing any smoke up your ass. I admit that it appears mistakes were made. The gun could have been jumped, and this could have been handled better, and it hasn't. And now we need more information and more context in order to see the second part of this, right? It's almost like watching a TikTok video. Or any video online, really. You'll get one view of what happened. And then you're going, I need, for one way or the other, I need to see the rest of this video. I need to see the other angles to understand what happened and to understand what everyone was going through and how the situation happened the way it was. Right now, we're only getting one or two angles on this whole situation, how it played out and how it broke down. I need the other ones in order to come to a full conclusion. This isn't a cop-out for the administration or for anyone here. This is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. I'm saying one of the biggest mistakes any or all of us can make as people that do the news and people that are content creators is one of the biggest trip-ups is immediately jump on a story, and the legacy media does this too. Immediately jump on a story, immediately come to a conclusion, and then immediately give all of that conclusion to everybody else. Because you have to be first and you have to jump on it. And then additional information and context will come out afterwards. And you're going, uh-oh, and you're backpedaling. It's a huge mistake a lot of people make. It's a simple mistake for some people too, because you just want to get the story out there. And then you get the story out there and you bring it to everybody, and then details come out that clarify the foggy areas, and you go, oh, crap. Now I've got to go and I've got to fix all this and I've got to elaborate on all of it. I jumped the gun on it. So to put all of this out there for everybody, as I've done tonight, is not my attempt to jump the gun. It's my intent to set the record where we are currently and give it to you, the good, the bad, and the ugly of where it is. Unfortunately, there's simply not enough information here. As a matter of fact, there's information that's already been out there and in the general public. The caveat being to that is you never know exactly what you're getting. I'll give you one example as I finish up here. There was a list going around on TikTok that was saying that the list was provided by Mel Gibson. And the list was of Epstein's co-conspirators that have gone to the island or whatever. What that was circulating on TikTok was a Mel Gibson fan page on X, formerly Twitter. So you couldn't take that list at face value. You couldn't take that list as a real deal. As a matter of fact, even if Mel Gibson himself personally posted it, you couldn't necessarily take the whole thing at face value, because you have to establish, is Mel Gibson putting up actual fact? Or is Mel Gibson putting up a list based on his personal feeling of people who he knows are bad or questionable or whatever, right? So even if Mel Gibson himself had put it up, You could still have some questions and ask for clarification. But this one was a Mel Gibson fan page because I found the page on X and I followed it to look into it and get information. It was a fan page, and they're the ones that put on the list. And then you can't verify everybody that's on that list. I can make you a list right now. I can put on a list and I can say every motherfucker in Hollywood is on the Jeffrey Epstein list. And you go, Matt, what's your proof? And I'll go, they're all a bunch of pedophile elite motherfuckers. That's my proof. I haven't given you any actual concrete proof. What I've given you is my opinion of people I think are involved. So we absolutely need the full context of not only that list that I just showed you, of everybody that are currently known associates, all 90 that have been exposed from the previous court case. The only thing that these files that came out today did was cross-reference and confirm those names for anybody that was in any doubt. But right now, that's what we have. And there's a lot more. Why are those other ones redacted? Why is number 7 redacted? Who are they and why are they so important that they can molest underage kids and have their name redacted on the list as number 7? There's nobody on planet Earth that should have the ability to have their name redacted. So I read you Mr. Barack on some of the list, and you'll notice on this list of 90, I never read Mr. Barack. But the information that was released today with a Secret Service escort, the pilot writes down, or the person that's this part of the staff writes down, Secret Service escort with Mr. Barack and others. So Mr. Barack could be Barack Obama, and that could be one of the redacted names on this list, because he's not on this list of 90 that I just read to you, unless he's a redacted name, because there's like 3 redacted names on here. So we need more context to all of this. Now, in this binder, in their defense, they put phase 1. So phase 1 suggests that other phases are coming with more detailed information, and then supposedly an end result where people are being held accountable for their actions. But some of these people are so powerful that in order to bring them down, you need to bring down part of the financial system. Like I think there was, I know that I think it was J.P. Morgan and Chase Bank was sued and had to pay a payout for withholding some of Jeffrey Epstein's money without just cause for doing so. They had it in a somewhat secretive account, and they weren't going through proper booking for it. And don't quote me because it's 2 a.m. and I'm going everything by memory here. But I think it was J.P. Morgan and Chase Bank, and they had to pay out several $1 million in order for inappropriate accounting of their accounts. And it was maintaining one of Jeffrey Epstein's accounts with money without proper verification of what the account was, why it was, etc. And this is where, again, lines blur, right? I love Michael Jackson. His music was great. Also, he was a pedophile. Now we're blurring lines again, and you go, we have massive financial institutions, J.P. Morgan and Chase Bank, that are part of helping to hold up our economy. And then you go, yeah, you were more deeply involved with Epstein than we ever thought possible. So you're going to be investigated. Your assets are going to be seized, and we're going to be taking, the government's going to be taking action against you. So imagine the people that do business with J.P. Morgan and Chase Bank. Hell, I invest in stocks. If I sell any of those stocks through Robinhood, it tells me that the sale went through and the deposit came from J.P. Morgan and Chase Bank. Right? So I'm in it too. And I'm just regular old Joe Schmo fucking asshole, right? You shut down J.P. Morgan and Chase Bank, and you investigate them. You freeze all of their funds. How many people do you affect? How much of the economy takes a massive kick in the nuts, right? And you can say, fuck them. I don't fucking care. Fucking take them all down. I want to see it burn. And then how much of our society goes with it? This is the problem. Lines blurred. These shitbags are so intertwined with everything that's going on. They're wound so tightly. It's like in order to kill the disease, you end up killing the host. I think that's going to be the conundrum in order to solve all of this. How do you kill the disease and save the host? And I can hope, we can all hope that, and I've had some time to think about this throughout the entire day as I've very excitedly waited for all of the names and information to come out today, and then culminating in what it has turned into. But I have to sit back and reflect on it. I'm a realist at the end of the day, so I'm able to take emotion out of the situation and look at the problem at hand completely emotionless and just figure out what's the problem, what are we looking at, can it realistically be solved? No emotion, no crying, no bullshit. Can we solve this, and will everything be exposed? Because in order to expose it, you have to give up some of the most powerful people that literally and figuratively help keep our planet going round. They're intertwined with it. So kill the disease and you end up seriously harming or killing the host. And my concern is with as much as they're claiming that they're going to let all of this information out, I just don't think that we're going to get the answers that we want, especially with how everything worked out today. I remain optimistic that Trump and his administration are going to keep their word, but I have serious reservations that we may not get all of it because we can't. We may get enough to whet our appetite and fill us up and keep us in a good mood. Not enough to gorge on and get it all and go after all of them and keep them responsible. I think it's amazing that Puff Daddy got caught and there's information coming out about that. And I think they do that because maybe there needs to be a sacrificial lamb. Not because one agency or one entity wanted to do the right thing. Because if any of them wanted to do the right thing, a lot more things would be shown to everybody than what they are. So today ended up being, or yesterday, I guess, ended up being a little bit of a letdown. And I have my concerns about if we're all going to get justice as a society. More specifically, obviously, the young children who were sexually assaulted and abused, and for the rest of us and their families, obviously, and for the rest of us who are like emotionally invested in this and want these shitbags to pay for what they've done. Because I'll tell you what, if any of us did 1/4 of these fucking things, we'd be in a hole where we never saw daylight. So these motherfuckers get away with it because of their connections, their money, and their power. And they should be cut off at the fucking knees and brought right down to size. My hope is that happens. But your guess is as good as mine if that actually does. Let's see what happens today, Friday, February 28th. And let's see if there's clarification that's brought out and that Pam Bondi and the rest keep their word and feed out a whole bunch more information and put all these shitbags out in front of the whole world for everyone to see. All right. That was the Update and Relief Valve podcast today. I hope you enjoyed and appreciated what I did tonight. I worked a full shift, came home, and at 1 a.m., did this whole fucking breakdown. So I hope everyone appreciates it. Please like, share, and support and subscribe to the show. I'm trying to grow it as much as I can, and I want to get as many people as I can. I don't want to bullshit you. I'm here to give you the news and give you the truth. And have some fun while we're doing it. All right. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate everything. And let's see what Friday brings. I'll do some updates the next opportunity I have. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.